Today, pleasure of having Lori Bitar. She is a visionary thought leader and award-winning education expert in supporting students in academics and behavior. Her company, SOS Education Services, provides help for those seeking assistance in teaching, training, tutoring, and mentoring. She works with families, school districts, and in the classroom settings to support highly engaging, empowering, and effective training and tutoring sessions in social emotional learning, executive functioning skills, and literacy, AI in education, and provides college counseling services. Her book, SOS, Save Our Students, Solutions for Schools, Staff, Students, Stakeholders, and Society, offers stories and solutions that will help you fight the arch enemies of education: poverty, bureaucracy, illiteracy, legislation, and more. Lori earned her BA in psychology and teacher education from the University of Illinois and her master's in reading K through 12 from Nova Southeastern University. She has over 24 hours of educational experience across all sections of the market, including private, public, and charter schools. She is a former member of Disney American Teacher, excuse me, she is a former Disney American Teacher nominee and Teacher of the Year, and a proud recipient of the Governor's Top 100 Middle School Award. Thank you so much, Lori, for presenting to us today. Take it away.
All right, well, thank you. Oh my goodness, what an introduction. I think it might have been a little bit overkill, but I never know what to include because I never know for sure how much somebody might know about me or maybe might want to know about me. So I am delighted to be with you guys. I have had the opportunity to work with families in Parents Challenge since 2017. And it is always my heart and my pleasure to get to spend time with you. And so when Deborah asked, it said this was a request for this year, I said, boy, I would be delighted. So it will be interactive. And those of you that are learning style where you are participating, we've got a couple options for you. And so thank you, Aisha, so much for mentioning those of you that are interested to grab a paper and pencil. We'll also have some documents that you can be using as we go through. So why are you here? Well, in the job description, it's simple, or job description, in the session description, it basically said every parent who needs one, a morale boost, reassurance that what you do matters, and to have some fun. That is my goal today. And every time I do a session with any group, whether it's my students, whether it's adults, whether it's parents, teachers, whomever, I do want to provide you with a kit, knowledge, inspiration, and tools. And you will have a lot to choose from today. So you already know who I am and you know a lot about what I do. So um, I think that the one thing that might be relevant for you guys is that I do now live in Las Vegas. I was in the Springs for 6 or 7 years, but I couldn't take the cold too much longer. So I came here to get warm, and I am delighted that I still get a chance to connect with you guys. And now my clicker, there we go. Whoops. So we already learned a lot about what my company does. And so I believe that, just knowing that I'm here to create resources and support everybody, it's a big part of what I love to do. Here's how it's going to play out today. It's a couple of hours together, but it will go quickly because we have a lot of different engagement. If I had to talk for 2 hours, I probably would definitely not enjoy that. So I love to do training and support and workshops where you get a chance to really engage. So we are going to cover the resources one by one. We're going to explore self-care, which I'm pretty sure you have some ideas about already. We're going to really dig in this time to a gal named Olga Phoenix. She has the self-care wheel, and that's going to be the bulk of our work together today. Um, Touch upon some emotion stuff and really get into where are we today. We'll do an assessment and get a look at different areas of the wheel and where we are. Then we'll take a break, give you a chance to move around. If there are copies that you wanted to print during the break, again, I know everybody's in different places. So giving you a chance to do that. And then when we come back after break, we're really going to start to create our plan. We're going to brainstorm, we're going to add things and really prioritize the top 3 things. So it can't be overwhelming or we won't be able to do it. So we're really going to prioritize 3 things at the end that will help us. We'll take a look at some of the digital resources that you might find helpful, plan your next steps, and then evaluate. So wanted to just give you an overview of what our time together is going to look like. And because I'm a teacher and I was a teacher forever, I will do things just a little bit different. And so, one of the things I love to do is to have you assess yourself in terms of where you are as we start. And then we'll come back at the end and assess. My goal is that we've made improvement as we've gone through our time together. So you don't have to do these visually as I might in person, but I'm going to give you a goal and I'm going to ask you to rate yourself 4, 3, 2, or 1. 4 means you're running the session. You got it, you know it, you're into it. So that would be a 4. 3 is you're very strong. 2 is starting to learn, and then 1 is maybe I need help or it's brand new to me. So here we go. First goal, define self-care and identify the 6 dimensions on the self-care wheel. Are you a 4, 3, 2, or 1? So you can write that down or just have the number in your head. Usually it's better if you can write it down. Next one, that you can identify your current self-care plan. Are you a 4, 3, 2, or 1? And can you locate tools and resources where you can create and sustain your self-care plan? 4, 3, 2, or 1. All right, now the next part is really important because it does really give you an opportunity to think about what you want to get out of the session. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to chat in what your goal is for this session and what you would like to take away so I can customize and craft some of the work we do together today. So please chat in what is your goal and what you'd like to walk away with today. You see, some of you are driving, so I know that that might not work out really well for you. Perfect. Thank you so much, all of you. Staying joyful. How do you stay with being busy? Where can you ask for help? Beautiful. I figured a lot of it would be stress. It's a lot of it in the world we live in today. Awesome. I also found for me and for most adults, again, thank you so much for sharing. Um, for most adults, it helps really engage more, right? You have a lot on your mind, you've got a lot of things going on, but it helps you to focus a little bit differently than you might. As I mentioned before, we do have some documents, and this is really a working session because to get there, we're going to need to do some of the work. It is your session. I just work here, but I am going to provide you the opportunity to really do the work you would like to create the plan, to manage stress, and to do the things you would like. So it's not what we call in education a sit and get. So for those of you that's your learning style, I'm happy to be able to support you. And again, I'm not sure if they share the recordings with you, but you will have the documents and time if you choose to go back and independently do the work at another time. So this is the first part where we are going to get into the resources that I have provided. So there are a lot of them, but I'm only going to focus on the 4 specific ones that I have highlighted. So we're going to put the link in the chat in case you haven't had a chance to get those. And I'm going to go through each document one by one so that it will be a little less confusing. I so wish I was in person. It makes things a lot easier, but I want to make it impactful and powerful for you as we go. So you should have your links. Can you give me a thumbs up or a yes or a confirmation that you have those?
I'm dropping those for you right now, team.
Yes, please. Beautiful.
So
Thank you.
it's a Google document link, and you're gonna click on that, and it's gonna force you to make a copy, and then you'll have your own copy of her links.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good. We're getting everything organized. And I'm just glancing over some of your goals to make sure I try to incorporate these for you. Janelle, I love yours. Healthy self-care look like in family life. Well, you are going to be pleased and delighted, and I think a lot of you will be as well, as you think about how can I be a parent and how can I prioritize myself. So thank you very much. And let's go through the documents now that you've had a chance to make your own copy. Like I said, those of you that prefer, you can certainly circle back on these. So the first link, number one, that we will be coming back to is going to be your own self-care assessment. And that's what this looks like. I want to make sure that I am sharing the right screen. So we'll go through each of our areas and do a self-assessment when we get to that section of our training or time together. The second link is the bulk of everything that we're going to do around the self-care wheel tonight. Now it's long, it's 17 pages, but we're going to only focus on 5 of the pages, and some of them are going to be where we're actually doing the work. For those of you driving or doing other things, it'll be a great chance because it gives a lot more information that I know you will look at if it's of interest to you at that time. The third thing we're going to cover is a chance for you to go ahead and download your own wheel that you can work from. The one I have is copyrighted. So you can certainly just draw on your paper and you can do it however, but for those of you that are interested in getting your own copy, you can certainly do this. And during the break, you could print it out. And I wanted to just give you that option for the availability. And then the last one, Janelle and everyone else, I found this because I knew that it was important and that you would really find value in being able to coordinate some of the activities that are actually more family oriented, but also give you a chance to prioritize yourself at the same time. So those are the big 4 documents that we're going to focus on. And I know some of you probably want to start looking at them now if you're anything like me. I am going to try to just go through it and build up everything as we go, but I wanted to cover the resources so when we were talking about them, they'd be easy for you to access. All right. So our next piece will be to take a look at a real-time quiz of what is self-care to see what you already know. So Rochelle is going to pop the link for you to take your own quiz of 7 questions or 8 maximum, just to get a feel, and then I'll share our scores.
Okay, link to the quiz is in the chat.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So for those of you driving, I'll just read the question. And for those of you that are working right there, you can move forward at your own pace. So they're asking the question, is it self-care? And then it's going to ask you for 4 options. Which of the following best describes self-care? Number 2, self-care always requires spending money on spa treatments or luxury items. I wish that were true, and I wish I had the availability to do that. But I do think that that was just a true or false. Next one, which of the following is not considered self-care? Saying no to requests when overwhelmed is a form of self-care. True or false? I came from a crazy childhood, and by the time I got to college, I had to get a lot of help and a lot of support. And they told me, you know, Lori, you can say no. It was a new concept for me. Which action is an unhealthy misconception and not self-care? Which of these best illustrates the difference between self-care and indulgence? Which of the following best represents emotional self-care? I pulled a section in for us to really explore some emotions as part of our work together today. And the last question for this quick quiz is, how does financial planning relate to self-care? All right, I hope my pacing is going okay. I don't want to go too fast. I don't want to go too slow, but I am going to click for us to see how we did. Oh, somebody got an 8. Nice. Well, people weren't quite sure, probably those people driving. And our average score on self-care was a 7.64. If I could throw a little celebration, good job. I love it. Congratulations, you guys. And so I thought that was just a really nice, fun opportunity for us to think about what we're going to cover tonight. As a teacher for a very long time, I learned that it is much better for you to own your learning, for me to sit and talk and talk and talk. I will talk a lot tonight, but I try to mix it up. In terms of pacing, in terms of the speed that I'm working on, can I call on a couple of you to just confirm that it's about right? Or if you need me to speed up or slow down. So I'm just going to scroll down my list. And if you wouldn't mind, Jenny Haley, could you come off mute and just tell me in terms of pacing, how is it working for you?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. It's
So too slow or too fast?
no, it's actually it's fine. It's good.
Okay. Thank you. All right, I'm going to ask just 2 more people real quick randomly. Starlin, Skipper, too slow, too fast, just right.
You're doing just fine.
It's a good pace for you? Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And then I am going to ask Deborah Hendricks, who I did not know was on here, in terms of what you know, too slow, too fast, just right.
I just joined, so it's just perfect.
Okay, well, right above her, I have somebody on the phone, which I really want to also just check in with you. So Sonia Cruz, I believe, you are on your phone, and I just want to make sure for you and those folks that are, is it too fast, too slow, just right? And she may have stepped away. All right. Well, if at any time you have feedback, I do know that both Aisha and Raquel said, is it Raquel? I remember saying,
This is
we're
Sonia.
more
I can
than
figure out how to unmute.
okay. So Sonia, is it working well?
Yeah, the pace was good, and I know you were trying to read for other people. I started getting distracted, so I just turned you down and answered because I did pull over. I'm good. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you. And if you do have any questions or have any feedback like that, let us know for sure. So you know a lot. You got perfect scores, some of you. We have a very high score in terms of what is self-care. It's not bubble baths and spa treatments. That is a really nice addition, but it encompasses a lot more than that. And so this is where we are going to hop into the 7-step workbook, the second handout. So everywhere that I have a handout, I tried to color code it bright green so you would know what page and where I was at. So just to confirm, the one that I am going to be working out of and with you is going to be this one, the ultimate 7-step guide to self-care wheel. So we're only going to cover a couple of pages. And so the very first one that we'll end up digging into will be page 5. But I want to cover a few things first. So a long time ago, back in 2010 or 2013, she came up with this idea that our lives are kind of part of a pie, and that really there are 6 categories or dimensions of our well-being. And it sure makes a lot of sense when you stop and think about it. We've got those 6 areas, really physical, which is what we all think about pretty quickly, psychological, emotional, spiritual, personal, and professional. And so when we put all of those pieces together, of course, it makes us up completely, our part of the pie. Her goal is really that we work together to really show ourselves that we can create something sustainable, because that's how many diets do we start over on Monday, right? How do we work together today to start something sustainable that's simple? Because there are a lot of ways we can do it that are pretty easy and pretty affordable, so it doesn't have to be extremely expensive. What she mentioned is that what typically happens, and I know it's true of me, probably true of you, you end up focusing on 1 or 2 of those areas of the wheel and neglect the others. Now, some of those you neglect by choice. You know what? I'm just not going to deal with it. However, long-term implications begin to come about, and they begin to raise their head, and it becomes a time when you have to deal with it. And so I had worked and worked and worked and worked as a mom, and I neglected my health. And as I continued to move forward, I ended up very sick. And so at that point, it was a wake-up call. So hopefully today, you'll be able to take a look at the areas of your life and see, oh, this is an area I might be able to throw a few things in. So here's what she came up with. And I said that we have page 5 is just too many ideas. But there are a lot of really good ones on her page 5 because it gives us a chance to see and use when we create our blank one after we get back from break. Just a quick review of what those domains are. Obviously, the physical, the sleep, the nutrition, exercise, and then medical care. That one can be something that tends to get away from us, and we only address it in an emergency. Professional, many of you as parents, you're in that stage in life where you're being a great parent and working really hard, but you're also focused on your career and your skill building, and this one probably takes up a lot of your time. Spiritual, some of us can incorporate different times in different ways, whether it's through meditation, reflection, religion and church, or sometimes even time in nature is something that happens for us that we do for that part of the wheel. This one, I'm going to guess and suspect that the personal one as a mom, or I don't know, I did not look, there may be some dads in here, but this is the one that always goes by the wayside as a parent. This probably would always be blank for your hobbies, your reading, your personal growth. So the self-care for families may help you find a way to bring that in a little bit differently. Psychological, are you able to pursue your learning? Are you able to practice mindfulness? Are you able to be creative? When I asked earlier what your goals were of this session, many of you said, how can I manage stress? How can I deal with the anxiety? How can I process? Where are some ways for me to move forward? And this area is very tricky, as well as the emotional. So my goal will be for us to spend more time in these two areas because I think that they have a lot more weight and how we can balance the circle a little differently. So the emotional piece, journaling, gratitude lists, being able to communicate are all nice things that we would love to have in that part of the wheel. But sometimes it can get away from us. However, I thought, wow, she gives a great example of some activities that we could do or that you could do that would actually incorporate everything all in one. So she gives ice hockey. And so because you guys are in Colorado, I had to use the Avs. I wanted to use the Vegas Golden Knights, but I said, no, I've got to honor Colorado and the folks there. So even though you might go to a hockey game, the example she gives is going to physically play ice hockey. Well, obviously, that is great physical exercise. Psychological, you can have your friends there. So you guys are working and you're enjoying that part of your life. Hopefully, it makes you laugh and play for your emotional part. Spiritual, I don't think there's any place on the planet more beautiful than the nature in Colorado. And so, for many people, being able to see the snow and the pines and the majesty is very spiritual. Personal, obviously, that's great. You've always put it aside, but now you're being able to have fun. And if you did invite people from work, I'm just saying, if you invited people from work, on top of that, that could also hit the professional wheel. And so some of you, I don't like hockey. I know, but it's an idea and it's an example of how some particular activities can become a powerhouse for you. And it does help you manage some parts of that wheel when you don't feel like you have the time. So spending 2 hours playing hockey or doing an activity could actually help you balance things out because you are under time constraints. So I thought that would be a fun example. Well, I'm pretty sure you know why it matters, but you may have not stopped to think about a few of these. The very first one I can see, stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. When you gave me your goals up front, I don't remember how many there were, but if there were 25, I would say 15 of them literally addressed this category. The world we live in today is very different than anyone we've ever seen before. And so with that, we don't have a lot of history to pull from on how to navigate life. Parenting can be a lot the same way. So anxiety and stress definitely will escalate in times of uncertainty. Of course, one of you put you wanted to be joyful. So improving our mood, building that resilience to overcome when things don't go well and boost our well-being is a really powerful piece on why it matters. Bringing time and energy to things and people you love. Well, you do that already. As parents, you put probably almost all of your time with your children, but being able to balance that with other people you love, including yourself, is going to be a really key part of why it matters. And the last one is being able to focus and create intention. Very easy to get caught up in what I call the tyranny of the moment. When I was a principal in my charter school, there was one crisis after another crisis after another crisis after. And so all I did, just like you do sometimes as a parent, is I just react and react and react and react. And of course, that's going to make me feel more anxious, more stressed, and more overwhelmed. So being able today to work together to really find 3 priorities can help us filter out, hey, you know what? No, I am not going to get off track. I am not going to let this fire be a part of what I'm going to do. So it's just an example, but I do feel that that can be a big part of how to manage some of the anxiety and stress and overwhelmed if you have a strategy and a focus. All right. Well, that was a lot of talking, but I wanted to have a good base of information for us to work from. I'm curious, of those particular parts of the wheel, were my suspicions right? Or are there one or two that you would tell me are most difficult for you? And I'd love to see you chat that in so we could get a good gauge. So far, the votes are confirming or affirming the things that I suspected were most challenging and most difficult. So thank you for sharing this information. Physical, you might be surprised. I don't know. I never got one of those watches with the steps, but you may be surprised. You may be doing a little bit more physical than you think. But like we saw earlier, it can also include diet and it can include medical care and things like that. So thank you for weighing in, everybody. And I am glad and sad, but we are going to prioritize the ones that will be most important for us to think about moving forward. I'm just going to check. All right, great. Well, one of the things I do know is that just like you, as a parent, push your own personal stuff aside, the psychological piece, but emotions are a big part of how we navigate life. And like I said earlier, I grew up in an absolutely crazy household. And when I came out of there in college, I didn't even know I had emotions because I had been in survival mode. And many of you may have experienced something very similar with trauma and triggers in your life. But I came out of that and went to college in psychology, of course, because I was trying to figure out my life. And they said, "Well, how do you feel, Lori?" And I said, "Fine." I literally did not know that there were any other emotions or feelings besides I'm sick or I'm fine, literally. So I knew that this was one of the most valuable things that ever happened in my life. And I also know that addressing it can help me with my self-care plan much more impactfully. So I want to go over a couple of things that I learned along the way about emotions that may be helpful to you as well. So when I got there and they said, "Well, Lori, we really want to know how you feel." And I said, "I'm fine." They said, "No, Lori, there are really just 5 basic categories of feelings. We'll help you get started. You can be glad, sad, mad, scared, or ashamed." I said, "Oh, okay." This graphic over here on the left kind of frames them just a little bit differently. But for me, just having access to know glad, sad, mad, scared, and ashamed, I could start to think about, oh, maybe I'm having a feeling, or maybe I could name that feeling rather than avoid it and pretend and deny it. The other part that I thought you would probably find very helpful is kind of looking at the difference between emotions and feelings. The emotional really is the physiological response. And this is where we talk about the trauma brain and the amygdala and all of the things that happen physically as situations come up. I know for me, when this happens, it's very hard for me to manage my time and to stay on focus because that physiological response. So emotions are physical states, feelings are mental and reactions to emotions. So all of those things that have happened to you, good or bad, you bring forward. And that really is what the feeling is associated with, the mental capacity. The emotions, that the physiological response happens before the feeling, and then the feeling is caused by the emotions. Physical states, as I said, mental associations and reactions can be observed through physical reaction. And then I'm not sure about you, but I'm pretty sure about me that there are times when they have been very hidden and dictating my whole life, but I wasn't aware of it. So I hope that just that quick review or information could be valuable to you. The next part, you do have on your document some bonuses. So I'm not covering them, but one link that I included for you was actually a checklist. And so what they had me do in college is they said, okay, Lori, we're going to have you walk around all day and we're going to have you check off how you feel and take notes. So once I got past the glad, sad, mad, scared, and ashamed, and then I said, oh, well, I'm not just mad, I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed, I'm furious, right? And so I began to have more language around my emotions, which then allowed me to communicate with those I loved, and it allowed me to manage them differently. So I did put that bonus in for those of you that might find that helpful. And the whole key that I would say is that sometimes if we haven't practiced this, this is an opportunity for us to practice, but also share with our kids how to practice, right? If they haven't had an opportunity to really learn this, this is an opportunity for you to give them that language and say, you know, especially the middle school, high school kids, this is a great opportunity for them to start thinking about all of those, oh my gosh, the hormones and all the things going on, and help them sort that out. What do you think of that, guys? I'd love to hear a couple people tell me, oh, thank you, I got a heart. I wasn't sure if this is something that you would find valuable. You could just give me a quick chat. I don't like to cold call on people. I always feel like that's a gotcha. Awesome. Oh, good. I am delighted. Again, I really was torn on this, but I thought, wow, if I needed it, could be very powerful for us. And yes, the 4-year-old, those children tend to, but if they're being good at it, then that means you've taught them something along the way because they actually have the name. So yes, well, she can, Stephanie, she can color it, because the reality is I did include 3 or 4 extra bonus handouts that I really wanted you to have access to if it was something that you would find valuable. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the feedback because I wasn't sure how I might do this again. So I will include it next time for sure. The last part about the feelings that I learned and really couldn't believe is that really, and again, you probably will have access to this document, I couldn't figure out where they were. And they said, well, where are you feeling it? So there are all different parts of our body. And so typically anxiety and fear are felt in your stomach. Think about it. You have knots in your stomach. You have butterflies. So if you're not sure and you can't name it and it's going on in your stomach, most likely it's either anxiety or fear. Sadness, of course, I know this makes sense, but we never stop to think about it. Sadness tends to be more towards our throat and our heart, because those are the things when we well up with tears, we feel it in our throat first. So if you're stopped and you can't name it and you can't think of it, and you don't have a checklist, you're like, where am I feeling? Oh, okay. Well, I'm either scared, sad. And then of course, when you look at anger, it's most likely going to be up here towards our head, right? They draw that picture or that cartoon of angry red. So just a really neat graphic that I really thought could be wonderfully helpful to us. And again, when we teach our kids, that may be where they're at. Even though the 4-year-old is really great at it, maybe a 6-year-old, well, where are you feeling it, honey? And so it would be a coachable or an opportunity for us to help our kids as we help ourselves.
Lori, a question in the chat is where is it in your body chart in the
Yes.
handbook, the 17-page handbook?
It is not. That is something I found separately when I
Okay.
was thinking about emotions. And so what I have paper and pencil because I'm old school. So I will send that as a PDF, that graphic of where they are in the body after, and I will have Deborah and the team disseminate that for anybody who is interested. So body graphic. Awesome. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you asking questions, and good. And the slide deck. Yes, I will also, well, if I send the slide deck, then I won't have to send the graphics. So yes, I will be happy to download that in a PDF. Aisha, you're on fire. Thank you. Love it. It's fantastic. So I will do the slide deck. Awesome, awesome. I love it. Well, now it's time for you to go to work because I have talked way too much. But again, I just thought it was great information. So it is your turn to really stop and think about where you are and what come, you know, and when we come back, we'll start thinking about how to put it together. But for now, this part of our time together is where you are going to do the self-care quiz. So in the links that I sent, there is a document and we're going to rate ourselves. I'll pull it up just in case maybe you got here late. So the very first document we have, and you know what, could we go ahead and put that document link in the chat again for those people who came late, just in case it got buried? Be great if you could. So we're going to go through each of those parts of the wheel. There's a few extra on this one because it's not from that 17 page, but I just thought it would be really cool to have it. So 3, you're voting for yourself. 3, I'm doing great. 2, 1, not so much. 0, I never do it. But what about this one? The question mark rating. The question mark rating is I never even considered that as an option. So it's 5:42 where I am, 6:42 where you guys are. So what I believe is I am going to give you 5 minutes of time to dig into this and to see how you assess. When you're done, just hop into the chat and let me know so that I don't wait for too long. All right, so as you are wrapping that up, I will random call on a couple of people just to hear what did you think of the assessment and what surprised you. But if you're not comfortable, you can just say, I'd rather not answer. So I'm curious, what'd you think of it and what surprised you? So how about Connie Garcia? Would you mind telling us what you thought and what surprised you?
I think this is a really interesting thing. I think there's a lot of things that didn't occur to me with certain categories. Whoops, sorry, I was just trying to look for my assessment here. Particularly, for example, the express my outrage in social action letters, donations, marches, and protests. And I thought that one was really interesting because oftentimes we hear things or we read things in the news, but how often do we actually channel that frustration or anger into doing something meaningful? I thought that was a very interesting one. And yeah, that there's several, I think, suggestions that it's like going, oh wow, yeah, that could be a form of self-care in that category.
I
And
love
then
that. So you had a couple of question marks, right?
yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I'm going to ask Nina Landis, what'd you think of it and what surprised you?
I love the way that it's broken down into separate categories. I think what surprised me was that there were certain categories where I was like, okay, I'm doing that really well. And then there were other categories that were just really rough. So you're like, oh my gosh, okay. And that just sort of puts it in a category of going, okay, I need to spend some more time focusing on these areas of my life that I'm neglecting because I've been handling these okay, but maybe neglecting these. So
No, thank you. That's actually what we're going to do before we end up going to break. We're going to pull the wheel out and we're going to rate ourselves. So we'll have a really good visual because it is true, right? And that's the whole point of us being together today. Some of them may have gotten by the wayside and some of them you may decide, you know what? It's going to stay by the wayside because there are other things that I need to do or want to do right now. So thank you so much. And then I'll ask Diana Wyman, would you mind, what'd you think of it and what surprised you?
I'm sorry, it took me a minute to figure out how to unmute. I am the same, that it was eye-opening in which areas that I wasn't doing very well in, and other areas that I'm doing better than I actually thought I was. So, I mean, just based on like the numbers of it, I like numbers and quantifying things. In a prior life, before fostering and adopting and parenting and all this stuff, I was an accountant. So I kind of like that part of this, and it was very eye-opening for me in that way. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And you brought up a great point, because that's one of the big parts of what we also need to do today is to celebrate, right? Celebrate. You are doing a lot more than you had thought. And so I'm really glad that you brought that up. And it really was, I'm glad that you guys enjoyed that, because the one she has, Olga, just says, oh, rate yourself, which we're going to do. But I wanted to use that quiz first to really, in my mind, give us a better, clear where we might rate ourselves. So, whoops, well, see, I'm already celebrating. I love to celebrate. So, this was what she asked on page 7 of her 7-step guide, is where there is that wheel where you would rate yourself based on how you really scored. So 10 is a high, you're a 10, 0 is probably not. So let me pull that up and we can just do that rating for ourselves. So I'm going to go to page 7, and there is what she has available. You can do this on paper pencil if you are not looking at the document. However it works for you is great for me. So 0 here in the middle, 10 out the end. Okay, and as you guys are wrapping that up, we're going right into what Diana said. Thank you for preluding. She had a premonition. Let's celebrate. You've got some high numbers on there that you really hadn't considered. So please chat in. Where are you doing well? Because that's just as important as any gaps you might have. Awesome. Oh, that's wonderful. So many of you have been able to find ways to incorporate the spirituality into your life. I suspected, right, at the stage you are, it would most likely be professional, because that's part of where you are as being a parent, trying to think about it and how do you navigate that part of your career. Well, congratulations. You guys are on fire. See, you're not doing all the things that you had considered that you weren't doing all the right things. So that's going to be important for us when we come back after break. We're going to be able to build in how do we go and what do we do next. And so thank you so much for sharing that stuff. And it makes sense to me. So you knew, doing great. reasonably satisfied. And then again, honoring yourself to say, you know what, I've got a 0 or a 1 in that one. And for now, I'm not going to deal with that. And giving yourself permission to say that is not a priority for me right now. So having your own ownership and your own plan is what we will do in the second half of our time together today. She has something you are welcome to look at later during break, another time in her 17-page handout. She's got a little chart of different opportunities on page 11 and 12, where if that's your learning style, you may feel comfortable or enjoy writing it out that way. But for now, we're right at the midpoint, and I knew there was a lot that we had to do today, and there we go. All right, as long as it stopped ringing, then we're in good shape. All right, well, let's get into it. Hopefully everybody had a nice little break. Those of you that wanted to print out the wheel, you were able to do it. And like I said, if not, paper pencil works great. So the one thing that you guys really addressed in some of your comments was really thinking about the focus and the intention and managing your time. So I thought this graphic was phenomenal. And again, it just comes back to what they taught me a million years ago when I was in college, say no. Say no. And but if somebody calls, I got to answer the phone. They said, no, you don't. You can wait until the next day to call them back. And it was a really tough concept for me to get a hold of. But now that I'm certified as an ADHD coach, they have a tool where you take things and you put them into 4 quadrants. So the first quadrant, urgent, you got to do it. Second quadrant, urgent, important. Third quadrant, maybe delegate that. And then the fourth quadrant, just delete it. Sometimes we fill our lives up with things that really aren't necessary and that aren't going to help us reach our goals. So when you think about your goals today, if some of those things don't align, then delete them for now and then bring them back. So a perfect example for me is my advertising. What a nightmare to think about. Okay, well, social media and ads and direct mail and so I get so caught up in swirling in that I don't do the things that are going to help me get to the next step. So I've deleted it, and maybe in a couple of weeks I'll bring it back. So just a suggestion of things that you may think through and use to help you as you prioritize some things. So I am curious, now that we're all back, when you think about the barriers to getting 2 things, a sustainable and simple plan together. Love to see, what do you think are possible most common barriers? I knew after you guys get those perfect score earlier. Yes, oh, I know. Some of these shoulds and messages we've been given as parents and women and all of that, we have to really navigate those. So I knew you were going to get these right. I had a feeling. So of course, the number one, especially as a parent, is time. Figuring out, thinking about the quadrants, thinking about the day, but our kids, they are so important that sometimes those fires take us away from being able to find the ways to do both, take care of them while we also take care of ourselves. What I suspect is the other part that probably is a barrier based on what we learned earlier is the emotions. Once that physical state happens, they're calling it like your dinosaur brain, right? The amygdala is on fire, so you don't necessarily get a chance to make decisions. You are in fight or flight. So that was one of the reasons I incorporated the emotions to help you start thinking through. And I also have some digital tools that you may like that we'll cover later in the session today. So now it's your chance. She gives us 2 places to look. The overwhelming page 5 in her workbook, it's just busy for me, but it's phenomenal. So I'm going to ask you to get the wheel, and self-care for families. I think those two places are going to be your best resources for you to start making your plan. And what I would do, if it were me, I'd pick 2 areas, possibly 3 areas, and that's it that I wanted to focus on. And I choose one thing for each area, and that's it for now. So about how many minutes do you think you might need to work through this self-care wheel? I'm going to call on just a couple of people. Beth Keller, could you tell me about how many minutes you think you might need to work through finding 3 activities?
Oh, maybe 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your feedback. Let me pull on down here. Sarah Imhoff, about how many minutes would you need?
5 is good.
5 is good. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go with a consensus of 5 and give you a chance to do the work that the whole session was designed to help you do. And so I couldn't believe it when I found this self-care for families, because this was hard to find. And I'm sorry, this vision is a little bit blurry, but the document you have is not. I had to do some work with it. But many of you said the physical component was hard for you to keep going with. Well, maybe you were thinking, I'm not going to the gym 3 times a week physical. But look at that. Have a dance party with your kids. Go on a family bike ride. Play kickball. Play a game of tag. Go roller skating. Those are, you see how excited I get. I love all of those. And so you could put one of those a week into the family calendar. And when you stop all the extra noise and panic and crazy, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do jump rope today, right? And so I wanted you to have 2 places to have tons of resources to figure out what would fit best for you and how could you put a plan together. And so I'm sorry about the wheel. I anticipated we might have a little bit of glitches. But the one thing on page 14 that I really hoped I could convey is that there are really, if you pick 3, that makes it sustainable and doable. So I'm not going to cover this with you, but I want to draw your attention to set the goal. Immediate action, schedule 1 physical family activity a week. Desired result, crazy fun, bonding, all that great stuff. And when are we going to have it completed by? September 30th. That's an example. So if your learning style works better this way, page 14 of her document would probably be very valuable to you. Well, I apologize on the self-care for families being blurry. I did try to fix it. And obviously you'll have to give me grace on that. At least the thought was there. And if you can sort through it and find some of those activities, have it as a resource. And if not, you know, if that's not working for you as you're thinking about putting your plan together, you could always perhaps Google or ChatGPT. Say, you know, what are some great physical self-care activities for families? And then that resource would be available to you. And I guarantee you, ChatGPT or any of those other AI tools will come with stuff we never even considered. It is, you know, mind-boggling. So just a thought and just some ideas. So giving you guys a chance to do some work. I told you it was going to be a working session for you. This is for you and for your family. But what we'd like to do now is give you a chance to dialogue and to interact and to talk and to brainstorm and just be together. And so what we've done is we've chosen lucky number 7, since I am in Vegas, 777, I need to hit it. We're going to have 7 people in a group for 7 minutes. And so that was valuable. I hope it gave you a chance to laugh, to talk, to process, and to brainstorm. And so what I did do rather than, I'm not going to call on a lot of people, but I am going to ask for, and I'm going to call one name from each of those rooms, just to say, what was the best part of that time in your room? Because one group wouldn't leave. So for group one, Renee Wiseman, what was the best part of your conversation?
We talked a lot about how to make the physical part work and how leading that will help our kids make good decisions too. And just starting to take baby steps to make these changes that we see are so needed.
I love it. That's why we're going 3 baby steps. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Room 2, Jenny Haley. What was the best part of room 2's conversation?
We were talking about our, some shared that they're surprised that they were really scored really well on the emotionally part, myself as well. And then we started talking about our weaknesses. Noticed a few of them. It's for the work aspect. So just kind of like talking to each other, I guess, through it, if you sort of say.
No, that's great. Thank you for that. How about number 3, Cat Love?
Talked about like the physical stuff we can do, like go hiking and things like that, and how to connect with your kids while playing board games. And they like to open up when you're not like making direct eye contact, asking them questions.
Side by side, yes, absolutely. No, great, thank you. What about room 4, Sally? What's the best part of that conversation?
There was a lot. Somebody said they were going to the eye doctor, which I thought was incredible. That's a great self-care thing. We talked about how hard it is to kind of close the door on our work when we're moms, and how stressing about self-care is self-defeating. So we need to not be stressing. We need to find ways to take care of ourselves on the margins, and maybe just do something to give ourselves a little break during the day or at the end of the day, even if it's just making a cup of tea or putting on our favorite sweater.
I love it. No, that's great. And so having those family activities helps. Picking 3 things should help. 3, that's it. And then having at least one of the 3 be for you and you only. That's like putting your own oxygen mask on first. So you can't have all 3 for your kids because you're phenomenal and it's wonderful, but you got to take one and put your own oxygen mask on first. So I hope you find what that one might be each week, right? Your goal is just to do 3 things each week. That feels more manageable, even though it's hard to not do them all. All right, what about room 5, Nikki?
We talked a lot about the self-care for family sheet. We did enjoy that. I think a few of us agree that the physical, spiritual, and mental all kind of coincide with getting the heck outside. Maybe just like going for a walk, and it doesn't have to be this huge task. Maybe we just go outside and like defrost a little bit from the AC or vice versa, or I think that's what we got mostly from it is it doesn't have to be a huge task. Like one of the kiddos even on the screen was just telling a joke, and it was enough to just kind of like break from what we were doing at the moment. So
Awesome. Oh, good. I'm so happy to hear that. That was one of my big goals for you guys, to know that it is doable and not as challenging as you thought. Room 6, Daisy.
So I guess none of us knew. I think we joined too early. We weren't sure what to talk about, but and then we had a lot of shy people in the group, so we were all kind of quiet in there. But I like what everybody said, and I feel like I could relate to what everybody mostly said.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. It is sometimes, people are shy, like you said, or whatever. That's the only reason I'm calling on one person from each group, just in case, so that there could be some collaboration and some collegiality. So thank you, Daisy. I appreciate that. And number 7, it looks like Kachina.
Here we go. Hi. Yeah, it was really nice. We all were talking quite a bit about the physical, just how it's such a good reset to go out. Like when one of the mamas was talking about how they like to go up, by the lake, up in the mountains, hike, get that quiet time away from people. I think she said her husband liked to fish, and another mom was just saying, just for the reset to get outside, get sunshine. And I definitely find that being outside resets things for my daughter as well, and me. And it just kind of helps you be more present. So yeah, it was really good. Everybody shared really nice things.
Awesome. Well, that was the intent. Thank you, Katrina. And thank you all of you who I called on, just to kind of bring it all back together for us and just find that valuable time in your momhood and also in your independence. So I want to share now some of the digital tools that could be a part of your repertoire now or in the future. So you do have links to them on that comprehensive document, but I wanted to spend a little time on 2 that I thought were fascinating. So if it's your learning style, you may also appreciate some of these particular things. So the first one I found is called How We Feel. And they've given us a code to download the app. You don't have to. It just gives you a chance to check in every day, share with your friends, analyze trends, and it gives you a plethora, big word there, it's just a whole bunch of tools. So let me show you what their website looks like, and then I'll come back to this particular screen. So their website, and I did download the app because I wanted to see, it lets you, it's your own electronic checklist. You check in the morning and you check in at night. So it is free, it's a nonprofit. It gives you 4 quadrants to give you all of that language, and it gives you a reminder. Sometimes I ignore the reminder. Then it gives you the patterns, right? It tells you, okay, well, this is what you've been doing. You kind of know it, but seeing it in writing, like, oh, wow, I was feeling peaceful 3 days and I didn't even realize that. And I just think my friend who mentioned they were accountant and data and all of that, I really like that too, because it helps me understand myself better and understand my world. And then they have 7 or 8 different video type things. So they give you quotes, mindfulness, exercise, and it just, so this one app that is free provides you with all the different pieces that you may want to use. And so now I'll come back to that screen. I just wanted to show you what it is. It does have the terms of use and privacy that they will not share your data, which, certainly in our world, you want to think about those things. So that is the first one, How We Feel. Anybody think they might like that one? It could even be a great tool for, there's a movement section. And so click on the movement and it'll give you ideas if you hadn't considered. All right, hopefully you had a chance to grab the QR if you're interested in that. And the second one that I like as well as a different piece is called Action for Happiness. And I'm going to show you their website in a minute as well. So I think there are some great resources and tools that we might incorporate. One, I couldn't believe it. They have free online coaching. They give you 10 free sessions of online coaching. I'm like, what? So I thought, well, I should share that with the folks. They give you inbox and different coaching and different things like that. And they have their app. So let me show you what they have available and that app you might like. So they give you tons of resources. I do like this one, children and young people. So that is a great possibility for something for you to explore. They podcast, talks, videos, et cetera, et cetera. So it is a lot of opportunity for resources. They have 10 keys of things that you can do, which we already know, emotions, exercising. Okay, so we don't need 10 keys. We need 3 things. We don't want to be overwhelmed. The one thing I really do like that I use is their calendar. So they have a monthly calendar that you can print out or look at that actually just gives you one simple thing to do for that day, and you can celebrate it. So you guys are already ahead of September because September is self-care September. So you guys are already ahead. So what I really like, and I do use, is, okay, you know what? There you go. On the 4th, plan a fun activity. All right, we're going to go play kickball. We're going to go for a walk, etc. So I would like for you guys to take a look at the screen and put in the number of the one that you like the very most off of this calendar. Good. For the teens, absolutely. Even some younger kids. I believe the app is for Apple and Android. 17. It's getting popular. Yes. Do nothing. Nice. Good. Love it. 17 is popular. I love it. Good for you guys. You've already grown so much. And now I'm going to really challenge you. The one that I suspect is the hardest, which shouldn't be, but it probably is 29. Write down 3 things you appreciate about yourself. Can you guys do that one for me now? Write down 3 things that you appreciate about yourself. Good. Nice job. Open-minded, open-hearted, discerning, caring, strength, dedication, happy, energetic, honest. I love it. And if you're not comfortable sharing them, I certainly can appreciate that. So maybe just jot them down. Problem solver, caring. And I don't know about you guys, but that's hard for us most often, to stop and really celebrate things about ourselves. It's not bragging, it's just honoring and thinking about all of the great things that you're doing, but also more importantly, who you are. So thank you for taking that risk, guys. I appreciate it. So what I do like is this one. Just imagine, this is from Olga's 17-page handout. And she gives us a vision. Like if we were going to do a vision board workshop one day, we would have all kinds of images. And you've really covered all of these today. Being strong, calm, healthy, getting better at taking care of yourself on the second one. Complete clarity. That one's going to come in time, for sure. It's always a work in progress. I like being able to come to the place where you can look in the mirror and say, you know what, I love my life. It's kind of hard when you get all those things going on. And then you're active, strong, informed, resilient, and committed. Someone put dedicated in there earlier. So this is what she says. She says this thriving and sustainable self-care practice can do, which we already knew. All right. So content-wise, we've covered a lot, but we've done it in segments to help us get to where we were meeting our goals. So now it's time to reevaluate if you are a 4, 3, 2, or 1 on the goals we set up as we got started. So number 1, define self-care and identify the 6 dimensions on the self-care wheel. Are you a 4, 3, 2, or 1? I hope there was improvement if it was a lower number. Identify my current self-care plan. Well, now you have a future self-care plan, 4, 3, 2, or 1. Can you locate tools and resources that can create and sustain your plan? Are you 4, 3, 2, or 1? I would hope that everyone is at a 4 level because you were given many resources depending on your learning style and depending on your interest. I wanted to cover it. What about your goal? You set a goal and an intention for our time together today. Were you able to become a 4, 3, 2, or did we not hit that? We've come a long way in a short period of time. You knew most of this, but our time together was designed to put it all in one place to help you think deeply about it. And so I'm delighted that you gave yourself the time to spend with me and focus and do the work to help you